Remember, with all of our neuromechanic drills, it's really important that you don't overstretch the nerve. So the way that we prevent this is we say you want to maintain an intensity in terms of how much of a stretch you're feeling of a 3 out of 10 in intensity. You don't want to climb above that right now. So let's go through the tensioning sequence because there's a lot of different components to it. I'm going to begin on my right side. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my fingers and I'm going to lift them up towards my head. And then from there, I'm going to do the same with my wrist. Okay? Now, at the elbow, I want to rotate towards the pinky side. And then I can add a little rotation coming from the shoulder. From there, I take the shoulder and I depress it. So I push my palm down towards the floor. Now this is where most people start to feel some neural tension. So I'm now starting to feel a stretch through the palm of my hand into my forearm. So making sure that my elbow is locked out and that my shoulder is depressed, set in place. From here, I can move the arm outward. Now, how much you move the arm outward really depends on how much tension you're already feeling. If at this point you're already at a 3 out of 10, then you don't need to proceed with that part of this. So playing with the tensioning sequence a little bit to customize it for you is very important. From there, the last piece is I tilt my head away and then I can rotate toward the target side. Now I've got about a 3 out of 10 in terms of the tension that I'm feeling. And from here, we want to mobilize the median nerve by driving it. And a really good driver when you're first starting is lifting the shoulder and then pulling the shoulder back down. And so you'll notice that when you lift your shoulder towards your ear, tension will come off of the nerve. So my 3 out of 10 is now basically a 0. And then as I push my palm back down towards the floor, the tension returns. So in essence, we are mobilizing the median nerve when we drive it. And I'm just making sure that I'm keeping the appropriate intensity during that whole process. Okay? And you can shake it out when you're done. Now let's go through this on my left side. Once again, fingers, you pull them up toward your head. Same with the wrist. Outwardly rotate the forearm and shoulder a little bit, and then I can bring my arm out to the side. Take the whole shoulder, draw it down, palm towards the floor. Now I really am starting to feel that tension. And then finally, I tilt my head away and rotate back towards the target side. From here, we pulse at the shoulder by lifting it and drawing it back down. And this is a great driver to start with. And once again, where I'm feeling this, and it will be a little bit different for different people, but for me, I'm getting a nice neural stretch sensation down my forearm right into those first 2 fingers, all the way to the tips of those fingers. Let's cover some common mistakes for the median nerve glide. So obviously the first one is using too much tension. Remember, you don't want to overstretch nerves. Now additionally to that, what we oftentimes see is because nerve glides take a great deal of motor control, is as people go into the sequence and they begin to drive, for example, they may lose the position in the hand and fingers and not realize it as they're driving, or maybe their elbow will bend and they won't realize it. And when you lose the position, you take some of that tension off the nerve, and this could potentially change the result. And so just make sure that when you're in that position, that you're checking to make sure that as you drive the nerve glide, that you're maintaining the entire tensioning sequence the whole time.